You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
Now your host of California MUFON Radio, Lorien Fenton.
Welcome, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton, and I know I sound like Kermit the Frog's girlfriend, Miss Piggy, here tonight, but hey, I'll tell you what, it was all worth it. I've lost my voice twice, I've got a cold now, and I just spent the last week at International UFO Congress, and what a wild ride. I'm telling you, folks, if you weren't listening, you missed some really good stuff, and I don't know what IRN's going to do with those secret recordings of Lorien at International UFO Congress that Inception Radio Network now has the key to the vaults of, but I've got a funny feeling they're going to end up in the Insiders Club, and they may be up on the archives for free a little bit too. Maybe we'll give you a tease. I think that the lobby on Wednesday evening went very well. We had some really amazing people show up. We were just sitting in the lobby by the elevators, and we were just calling people over, come on down and sit in the hot seat and talk to the audience for a little bit. So if you didn't hear last Wednesday, I highly recommend that you get on the archives and listen to that. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. They plied me with brandy and Grand Marnier and all kinds of fun stuff. So the first night I got there, I walk in the door, ready to do my show, and they're throwing drinks at me. So I don't know what I said. I don't even remember Wednesday. And to be frank with you all, I don't remember the rest of the week either. Because Melinda Leslie, bless her heart, love her to death. Her and I seem to gravitate to each other at 2 o'clock in the morning because we're both night owls. And her and I go down to the casino. And this happens every time we get together. We go down to the casino and we sit there and we talk until 5 o'clock in the morning. And then we're both up at 9 and 10 and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and out the door and running and doing it all again. So I don't know how we do it. We go on like 3 or 4 hours sleep because I usually get to sleep at 6 and I'm up at 10 every day. So that's 4 hours sleep for like 5 days. And, you know, it's cool. 4 hours is plenty for anybody like me. I can handle it, folks. I can handle it. Now, I got a lot of shout-outs to do tonight, so I'm going to get through them as quickly as possible. But without these people, my stay at the Wecopa Resort and Casino for International UFO Congress would not have happened. And that is Paul and another lovely lady who did not want to be mentioned. They both sent some chunks of change to me to be able to drive over there, and they really helped out with the gas. I really appreciated it to you too. So thank you very, very much. It was well appreciated, and it went straight to Arco 76 and all the giant, Shell. It went to all those oil refinery people. So they made their money. So there we go. Okay, but it did scoop my little Chevy Prism all the way there. It got it there. So that was wonderful. So thank you very, very much. And then I want to thank all of the people who interviewed with me at International UFO Congress. And that would be, my God, the list is on and on. There were tons of people. And I just want to thank each and every one of them. I can't thank them all individually because honestly, I can't remember everybody. But I remember Richard Dolan was there, Barbara Lamb, Dave McDonald, the past director of MUFON, was interviewed. There were just there were like 15, 20, 25, 30 people interviewed. And I want to really, really put a big shout out to Sasha and Janet Lesson for helping me out during the whole interview process, because I had to run out and find people, and I'd say, will you guys interview the next person for me? And they sat in the hot seat and did it for me, and they were wonderful. And Janet was sick the whole time, but she did a good job, and it was just great. So they really helped out. They're over at Revolution Radio. They are on Sunday evening at 8 p.m. on Studio B. So if you guys really like them, check them out over there. They're wonderful to listen to. They're good friends of mine, and I really appreciate their help over here at IRN. They were happy to fill in, and I hope IRN enjoyed them as well. So let's see. Is there anybody else I've got to thank? Oh, I've got to thank Miles Johnston just for showing up and being a friend, even though last year about this time I wanted to kill him. I still love him, and there's a lot of history between Miles and I, as most of you out there in the mind control and super soldier world know about, but we've kissed and made up. We made up actually in Laughlin in November. So we're trying to work together to make sure that the whole MJ Casbolt thing never happens again, and we don't have to go through this, because Miles and I are better connected and changing the world together instead of fighting and not doing it together. So we realize that. So we have a good relationship again. And Miles is like my English crazy cousin over there doing mind control and super soldiers and all that. So I got to give him credit. He's been around for a long time. He's very controversial. A lot of people think he's like bonkers, as he says, but he is just an amazing guy, and I love him. And I just want to send a shout out to Colin, his left-hand man, as they say. And Colin has been a friend for a long time, too. And I just want to give a big shout out to both of those guys for being at the Congress. And we had an amazing time. So they were great. And Johnny, I hope your arm and everything gets better, and you know who you are. So be well and be strong. It'll all work out. And let's see, who else wanted me? Oh, Betsy and Chris. Thank you, Betsy and Chris, for putting me up in Las Vegas on my way back and taking such good care of me. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a story. I wasn't going to do this, but this is just funny as heck. You've got to hear about it. I don't know if it's funny, but it was definitely, it was funny after the fact. So here I am. I'm at International UFO Congress. It's Sunday evening about 6 o'clock. Finally said my goodbyes to everybody there. Oh, Rita. I got to give a shout out to Rita. And Rita makes these wonderful pins, and she's going to make them for UFO Con coming up on March 28th and 29th in Santa Clara, California. That's UFOCon2015.com. I hope you guys all visit the website and check it out. And my guest this evening, Johnathan Nolan, will be there live and in person, we think. It's a 75% chance, I think, at this point, but we'll know more after we talk to him tonight. So he's my guest this evening. But getting back to where I was at, as far as Betsy and Chris, Betsy showed up on my radio show on Mondays over on Revolution Radio, The Fenton Perspective, and told the stories of her encounters with spacecraft. So I'm going to hopefully someday have Betsy and a few other experiencers from International UFO Congress this year who have never told their stories before. Really, and this will be the second time for Betsy, and she's got so many. I think we could do like 4 or 5 different ones up on the radio show for her, and we get a few other people. I met some amazing experiencers there, you guys. Oh my gosh. I think if you go to any conference, Experiencer Speaks is one of my favorites for experiencers. International UFO Congress is now turning into like kind of a half experiencers, half nuts and bolts event, which is really wonderful. And I am going to be starting a conference, and now my UFO Con in Santa Clara, California, is going to be, it's kind of like half experiencers or more than half speaking, and it's turning into quite the experiencers event as well. But I'm going to be starting, I think, and this is not positive yet, but this is the first time you guys have heard it. I will be starting an experiencers conference, probably going to be in Sacramento. So it'll probably be in 2016, and who knows what it will entail, but I'll let you guys all know about that when it happens. Okay, so that's that. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, my story. Oh, my gosh. You guys got to hear this. Okay, I'm leaving at 6 o'clock at night. I'm finally, Melinda Leslie's the last person I say goodbye to. Always. She's always the last to leave, like me, and we're always the latest up at night. I wonder what that all means. I'll have to find that out. Anyhow, so Melinda and I say goodbye, get in my car. I say goodbye to everybody. Rita, and Sandy. Of course, Sandy. Now, everybody's talking about you, Sandy, so you know what I'm talking about. Say goodbye to Sandy and Rita and Melinda, and I'm getting in the car and I'm driving away, and it starts. I get out in the desert in Phoenix, outside of Phoenix, and it starts pouring down rain. I mean, pouring rain, buckets and buckets of rain. Rain so hard I couldn't see the trucks next to me. And I'm going out to Las Vegas. So I'm driving in this pouring rain. Finally in, where was I? I was in, I want to say Bullhead City, but it wasn't. Laughlin, no, it wasn't. Kingman. I was in Kingman. And I'm getting gas. And it's pouring down rain, and I need to run to the other side of my car, and there's no real cover on this gas station. I mean, it's there, but it's not wide enough. I'm getting soaked. I have to run to the other side of the car, and I do to get my coat out of the back seat on the passenger side. So as I run around to the other side, I push the little thing in to hold, what is it? It's a thing. It's a little mechanism that you push in to keep the gas pumping when you're not holding the handle. So I push it in and I go around to the other side of the car and I look up and there's a fountain of gas pouring out of the side of my car. And I'm watching this. I'm going, what the heck? And I didn't realize it was gas at first. I didn't know what I thought. I'm standing there staring at it, and then I thought, oh my God. And I run around to the side of the car and I'm trying to reach this thing, but there's a fountain of gasoline going everywhere. And I finally just kind of stepped into it, got soaked with gasoline, and I undid the thing from the car. My car's soaked with gasoline. There's gasoline everywhere. There's gallons of it everywhere. And I walk into the guy and he says, oh, you smell like gasoline. I'm like, yeah, I think so. I was so angry, folks. I didn't know what to do. So I just grabbed my receipt and left. And I said, do I have to pay for all that gas? He goes, yeah, I think so. And I was just so upset. I just thought, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to deal with this. So I stood out in the rain and took a shower to get my clothes. Gas-free, smelling as much as I could to get in my car, and I put a plastic bag over the seat of my car as I was driving, and it just stunk. I stunk like gas all the way to Las Vegas. And then Betsy and Chris, bless their souls, were putting me up at their house, and here's two more tragic things that happened. I get to their place, they're in a gated community, and I can't get the gate to open, even though they've given me the code, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't get the gate to open. So I thought, well, here's an opportunity. It's still pouring down rain. I think I'll take another shower. So I stood out and they're trying to get this thing to work. Just stood in the rain long enough to help get the gas smell out of my clothes again. And then I go, finally, someone comes around me and the gate opens. Yay. So I drive in and it was wonderful. So I get in there and then I'm looking for their house and I'm parked in front of their house and I unload all my stuff and I put it on their doorstep and I look for the key and the key's not there. I'm like, what the heck? And now remember, it's still pouring down rain and I'm like, what the heck? And I finally walk around the side of the house and look at the number and I realize I transposed two numbers. I'm at the wrong house. So in the pouring rain, I have to reload my car, completely back up again, and I have all kinds of stuff, folks. I mean, it's not just like two little bags. I don't travel light. So I had to load back in all 7 or 8 bags. While doing so, now here's the part where I'm just miserable. I got to tell you guys, it's just miserable. I paid for a Bob Lazar signed poster, and I'm going to talk about Bob Lazar here in a few minutes. I paid for this poster at the conference, and it fell into the drainage that was running down the road. the poster did. And there I am running in the rain down the road going, oh my God, my poster's getting wrecked. I'm chasing it down the storm drain. And I finally catch up with it in about a half a block, pick it up, and I just pour the water out of it. I'm like, oh, it's ruined. It is kind of ruined, but I might be able to save it. So that was a calamity. And hopefully I can find the guy who sold them and I'll get another signed Bob Lazar poster, but we'll see. Anyhow, so that was tragic. So I get back in the car, find the house, get everything unloaded on their doorstep. I ring the doorbell and I realize, oh my God, they can probably smell me from the backside of the house. So I walk in the door and they're just mortified because they can smell me. And I'm going, don't get out. I'm going, hi, don't come near me. I smell like gasoline. And I told them the story and they were just, oh my God, take a shower. So I did. And then the icky part started. Then poor Betsy, she's trying to make it so that I don't smell anymore. My clothes don't smell anymore. And she threw my clothes in the wash, and then it happened. Then the washing machine smelled like gasoline. So we spent the next day trying to come up. Chris came up with all these remedies. Thank God they worked. We finally got the gas smell out of the laundry. So anyhow, that was our calamity. It was very interesting. And then Betsy came on my radio show, and she was wonderful. She was absolutely wonderful. And we had a great time. So that's how I got to go to Las Vegas on Sunday night. So I guess you guys don't find it that funny, but for me, it's like, oh, could I just get any more stinky and more wet? It was just one of those crazy moments. But I did make it there, and I had a wonderful time. And I want to thank Betsy and Chris again for their hospitality. They took me to a buffet, you guys, and this is the best part of the whole trip. They had sugar-free desserts there. Oh, my God. It was just fantastic. I made a little piggy out of myself and ate a bunch of sugar-free desserts, and I was just so happy I couldn't stand it. So that was great. Okay, I'm not going to bore you guys anymore with my boring details here, but that was my little trip to Vegas, and then I made it home last night, and I was supposed to go to work today, but I've been sick all day, and I just got up a little while ago to do the show. So here we are. We're all set. And let's see. Oh, Bob Lazar. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my experience at International UFO Congress with the whole Bob Lazar thing. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about it. I'm sure you're all buzzing out there about what happened. And George Knapp did an hour and 15-minute intro to Bob Lazar. And it was quite interesting. Now, I'm a little bit, how do I say this? I talked to several people and I said, did you take offense to what George Knapp said? And these are all experiencers I was talking to. I said, did you take offense? And all the experiencers said, yeah, we took a little offense to what he said. There were some moments where he talked about tinfoil hat people and people coming to him about aliens or women having sex with aliens. He said some cute things, but if you're that experiencer, it wasn't that cute. I mean, I didn't even know. I just kind of felt funny when he said these things. I wasn't hurt or mad. I was just like, that's a little bit of a dig. That's kind of how I felt about it. And then when Bob Lazar came on, Bob had decided 2 weeks before the conference that he wasn't going to show up. And John, the gentleman who puts on International UFO Congress, got a hold of him and politely said to him, you've signed a contract, and if you don't show up, I will sue you. You know, that's basically what he told him. And he said that on stage. And I had to say, a lot of people in the audience were very upset with John for saying that. But as a conference producer, when you're billing people for 6 months or a year and then they sign a contract and they don't show up, you're just, it just ruins your whole conference. So I knew exactly how John felt. And Bob, he really needed that push too to get him to the conference because he was wonderful, folks. He was absolutely wonderful. He talked about the sports model. He talked about where it was parked, how he touched it. He told the whole story of going in. It was just absolutely fascinating. But the parts they didn't touch upon, which was very interesting, were all the bad things that happened to Bob. And I felt a little cheated because I felt that, yeah, there were a lot of interesting things that happened to him, but people need to know what happens to these whistleblowers and what makes them the way they are now. I mean, he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to deal with it. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He's been threatened. He's had his, and I'm not saying this because I know the truth. I don't know what's happened there. But apparently his ex-wife committed suicide. Now, I don't think it was suicide because it happened too close to the time he was talking, and I think there were a lot of issues there, and I think there were some very dark things that happened to him. And I think he should have told the audience these things. They really made it candy-coated, and there are things out there that personally I think everybody should know. Now, they didn't have to know the gory details. They just needed to know that he was threatened and there were some bad things that happened and that people need to be very much aware. If they're going to talk about things that they know that are secrets from the government, that something could happen to them or their families. People need to know that because it happens all the time. And I don't know how much more I can stress that, but I think it's very important that people understand that because you've got to really weigh it if you want to start talking about this stuff, especially the dark stuff or the military stuff or the things that they told you can't talk about. If you're out there talking about it, folks, if you have dark secrets, maybe it's better you keep them to yourself and keep yourself alive. If you'd asked me that 15, 20 years ago, I would have said, why are they keeping it to themselves, whatever. But I've had too many friends die in the last 3 or 4 years over some very strange circumstances. And I'm not going to go into it all here, but folks, you got to be wary. That's all I got to say. You just got to be wary. Having said that, I think that he did a wonderful presentation. He's a very sweet man. He has a lot of really good things going for him. He has surpassed whatever political damage has been done to him out there in the arena. I tell you folks, when he told everybody that he couldn't remember what he did at work, I was a staunch believer way back then, and I am now. And in between that time, I have met a gentleman here in the Bay Area who has the same identical story. He went to work many a time on a base he was working at, and I can't say where, when, or how, but I can tell you this. He doesn't remember many days there. He was an electrician. He was a very high-powered electrician, and he knows he saw spacecraft, but he can't remember much about it. And very interesting stuff. So when I met this person many years ago here in the Bay Area, and I remembered the Bob Lazar story, I said to myself, my God, it's the same thing. And since then, I met one more person. So now there's 3. And so I think people, you've got to realize they do that to you. Just as the aliens do it to us, they make us forget where we've been, if we've been with them or what we're doing. The military has access to their mind control stuff, and they do it to all the people that work for them. And then when they're done with them, they usually give them fast-acting cancer. And that's another story for another night. So, without further ado, I want to thank everybody at International UFO Congress. I want to thank everybody that supported me and got me there. I want to thank all of you for listening while I was there. And if you didn't catch the show, please grab it over at IRN Insiders Club or the archives or wherever Joe and MJ and Bob are putting it up at. So grab it there. It is a wonderful, wonderful, many short 25-minute interviews, a lot of them, a lot of fun. Okay, I have talked way too long, and I've kept my gentleman friend here holding for way too long. Johnathan, are you with me?
Yeah.
You sound so not excited to be here with me tonight.
I'm just exhausted.
Are you exhausted? What have you been doing?
I've just been flying. I just got in about an hour ago.
Oh, really? Okay, so I caught you at a good time, right?
Yeah.
You're going to spill all the beans because you're fried, and you're just going to tell me everything, right?
I would anyway.
Oh, I know. But let's temper that because we're live on air right now, and we got to be careful what we talk about. Hey, everyone! I want you to meet Johnathan Nolan. I believe he's been here for a little short snippet with truthfunders.com. Everyone, he is the guy that's doing the documentary over at truthfunders.com. Johnathan, what's your documentary going to be about?
Mysteries of the South Pacific, and the first one's about Chosul, which is the island that time forgot. where there's either giant bats or pterodactyls, one of the two, and also 2 races of giants and a UFO base. So it's cup runneth over, really, with the strange stuff. But
Cool.
that's what the first one's about.
I can't wait till that happens. Now, how are things going over at Truth Funders?
Oh, terrible. We haven't had any real donations at all.
Oh, come on. You know what that tells me? That tells me no one's finding out about Truth Funders.
I think that's the case, yeah.
Yeah. That just means that they haven't gotten any big, any big thrust here yet. We're going to have to do something about that. So everybody listening to the show right now, I want you to visit truthfunders.com. That's TRUTH funders, FUNDERS, truthfunders.com. I think that's right. Isn't that right, Johnathan?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Okay, so I want everybody to go there, and I want you to find Mysteries of the South Pacific. It's one of the projects up there that's trying to be funded to do this amazing documentary. Now, I have to. Oh, I'm there right now. Cool. Okay, so you guys need $15,000, right, to do this first one?
Yeah, that's what we're asking for, because
Okay.
we go over to the islands for our day jobs, so I really can't justify doing it for free.
Yeah.
For lots of reasons. It's got to be funded.
Yeah, I understand. And I think everybody listening to this will understand. And I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing documentary. Or is it going to be like a TV show?
Well, we're going to shoot it in TV show format, 42 minutes for an hour show. And we intend to do what I'm calling a devil's dozen, do 13 one-hour shows. But the Chosen one was selected in consultation with Truth Funders as the first one, as being something that might interest the broadest audience. But since then, there's been a lot of UFO-based related stuff that's happened over here. So
yes.
we're going to be shooting that at the same time. So.
Oh, you're going to shoot at the same time. Oh, awesome. That's fabulous.
Well, I don't think we've got any choice because, well, the UFO-based stuff's actually very serious. There's now been 2 murders connected to it. One 3 weeks ago.
Oh, my God. Are we going to talk about that live on air tonight?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time.
Then we will. Okay, Johnathan, we've hit our first break, and we'll be right back, folks. We got some breaking news for you tonight. I didn't know we were going to discuss it, but Johnathan says we're going to. So stay with us. We got some really cool stuff for you. We'll be right back.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
The Mutual UFO Network was established in 1969 as a non-profit volunteer organization dedicated to the scientific study of UFOs for the benefit of humanity. MUFON's goals are to objectively investigate UFO sightings and collect the data in the MUFON database for use by researchers worldwide, and to educate the public on the UFO phenomenon and its potential impact on society. The Mutual UFO Network is recognized as the leading UFO research and investigative organization on the planet, thanks to MUFON's vast network of dedicated volunteers, like-minded individuals who share the same interest in being part of a group that has brought UFO investigations into the new millennium. Are you interested in becoming a member of MUFON? There's never been a better time to join the network. So for more information, log on to MUFON.com. That's www.mufon.com.
Hello, everyone. Lorien Fenton here, host of the California MUFON Radio Show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying Radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today. Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. We're here on Inception Radio Network, the home of my most favorite app in the whole world. So you've got to get it. That's how I know that my show's going to start soon. If it wasn't for that app, folks, I think I'd probably still be at work some nights, and I'd be going, oh, I think I have a show tonight, because I lose track of time. And thank God that app pops up and says, in 1 hour, I'm like, I better get in the car and get home for my show. So you got to have it too. So there you are. So get that. You can download it at the Google Play Store, at the iPhone place. I'm sorry, folks. I don't own an iPhone, so I know nothing about how to do that, but you definitely got to check that out. So get your app. And one last thing, be sure to join the Insiders Club. It's really important, because then you're going to start getting all these amazing interviews that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be traveling this summer, and I'm going to places you guys are going to want to know about. I'm going to be interviewing people. You're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe these people are talking to Lorien. So it's going to be really awesome. So do join the Insiders Club as soon as you can, because it's only $5 a month, I think, and you're going to get stuff that nobody else is going to get here in Inception Radio Network. So please do that. Okay. Johnathan, now we were just talking over the break about how some amazing stuff has been happening since I talked to you a week ago, and I'm going to just kind of take the back seat, and I'm going to let you tell everybody the story about all this and what's happened. And folks, I want you to know you're the first people to hear this. It's breaking news, and Johnathan and I had plans on him breaking the story out in a few weeks on another network, but right now it's imperative, I think, that he get it out. And so here we go. Johnathan, take it away.
Okay, well, as part of the documentary series, we require official filming permission from the government of, for example, the Solomon Islands. So obviously we applied for that, and the man who was organising that for us is a guy called Anderson Sinoku, and he's also from an area that includes a little island called the Island of the Sleeping Giant, which is the location of a UFO base and a USO base, not the Entertainment Network for Armed Forces, the underwater version of a UFO. Now, people have seen these things coming and going out of the water and all the rest of it. He had a waterproof camera that we gave him as we were giving the other location scouts, and he actually obtained, apparently, according to his wife, he obtained footage on the video version of his camera, like a tiny clip, and he also took photos. He was zooming back to town as soon as he could to get that to us by email, because it's very primitive there. You don't have email where you live in the rural areas. He never made it. He was attacked on the main street and hacked to death, and they took the phone he had with him, which we originally thought was the phone that we'd given him, but it wasn't. It was a translation problem. He'd got his mobile phone with him, which can take pictures, and he had his other stuff with him and all the rest of it, but he didn't have the camera with him. And we kept that quiet once we found that out, and we were going to try and retrieve it. So 4 of our security boys were sent to his home province and his island to get this other stuff, including this camera, which would be the first recorded proof of this base. And in the course of trying to do that, the man who was specifically sent to go and pick the stuff up got it, and then was murdered on the jungle trail coming back from the village the other day, about 2 days ago now. And this was all supposed to just be normal gathering of information prior to shooting an hour documentary on the UFO base as part of our series. It would be touched upon in the first one, which is about Chosul, the island that time forgot, because it's in the same general area as Chosul, put it that way. But it was going to be subject of its own documentary. But the Chosul stuff, the local tribesmen and our ranger, Henry, are sort of saying, well, you know, the animals there are very dangerous, the dragons are dangerous, the giants are dangerous, but there's no assassinations. This UFO base has now cost 2 men their lives and caused us to escalate our personal security up to sort of gold mine levels. Like when you're actually at a gold mine and you're carrying physical gold, you have your own security boys. And this is all over a UFO base. Now,
oh my God.
The other thing that's happened is the Allied forces that have been there for 10 years now have scaled down all their operations. They don't even carry out foreign aid or bridge building or, you know, sort of normal things that our soldiers do in sort of peacetime crisis support. They haven't done that for years now. And the word around the campfire from them is, from inside sources in the military, they are washing their hands of the region completely. At the same time, get this though, at the same time as one of the biggest military or paramilitary ships the region's seen for years has anchored there. And it's in private hands. It's in the hands of mercenaries linked to one of the local warlords. And their destination, which is leaked from the girls they know in town and, you know, the sort of sources you'd imagine when there's a new ship in town, girls along the dockside sort of thing. They're going to the exact region of the UFO base.
Really?
Yep. And the Coast Guard type ship that's turned up has been converted into, well, what I would normally call a pirate ship. It's illegally equipped with weaponry, which is in contravention of Admiralty law and local law and international treaty. And it's also got an armoured, but huge armoured cargo hold.
Oh, my God. Johnathan, I got to say one thing right now. I am so blown away by you bringing this news onto my show, because this is the first time it's been heard anywhere in the world. And I'm just so blown away. I can't even speak, but I want to ask you this. I mean, what you're telling me is that they've got a pirate ship, quote unquote, protecting this underground base by black ops military. What country are they from?
Well, you tell me. They're going via Queensland in Australia and northern Queensland from a town called Townsville. They're going through Papua New Guinea to send some of the men there. Some of them are definitely ex-Australian Special Forces military, but there are people from a whole range of other places, including South Africa. There's New Zealanders involved. There's people with connections to the Middle East involved. This is something that you would hope. It's been reported to the authorities, just as a security matter, not the UFO angle. I mean, that would be ludicrous because then they just put the phone down on you. But you know, this is what smugglers would normally do to bring guns in or gold out, for example, or to smuggle people, like smuggle prostitutes into Australia or something. But this is what it would look like. Oh, it's another paramilitary organised crime thing. Right. But this is coincidentally exactly arrowing in on a region that's cost 2 men their life and where the major attraction, in quotes, is a UFO base. So, you know, you can make any theory you like out of that. Is it a crashed satellite? Is it something terrestrial that's being retrieved? Whatever.
Or maybe it's a human underground water base. I mean, who knows? Because I got to tell you, Johnathan, after this weekend watching Bob Lazar up on stage talking about the spacecraft that he was touching back in the 70s or early 80s, who knows that isn't a terrestrial-based UFO base? In other words, run by the humans on this planet. I mean, I don't know. It's a big venture to guess, but what do you think?
Well, the local spirit priests, the Eagle Eyes, who I work with, obviously they have a spiritual belief that includes quote-unquote aliens, spirit people.
Right.
And sky people. And there's a black magic aspect to the evil spirit people because, you know, we're using words that may not be the right words here, but the technology that the bad non-humans use works on a principle similar to black magic. It's will activated and it has an emotional flavour to it and so on. And the good Well, this is what they say. So you pay money and you take your chance. Like, you believe it or you don't. I'm not adopting this. I'm telling you what my local allies and helpers tell me. So, you know what I mean?
Yes, I'm listening.
So the good people, the eagle eyes, the secret spirit priests, think you've got human beings trafficking with non-humans, and that this Coast Guard ship, the people on that working off that are, well, it's not Coast Guard, but you know what I mean, the paramilitary ship, the pirate ship.
Right.
They're bad people, like modern-day pirates. If they could steal gold, they would. If they could take human slaves and traffic them as prostitutes, they would. If they can get surviving World War II weaponry, because some of that's buried in perfect condition, if they can smuggle that out to Germany, which is a big market for it, they would. But on top of all of that, or what the boss man, whoever he is, wants, is connected to this UFO base. So yes, it could be humans, it could be non-humans, it could be any combination of that. I personally think, since they're large and in charge down on the dock, I mean, they're there. You could unwisely try and take a picture of it. We probably will, if we can. They're there as crooks, organised crooks. Okay, so like a Mexican gang smuggling drugs and people across the southern border in the United States. They're definitely criminals, right?
Yeah.
But some of those Mexican gangs actually worship ancient gods of blood as well. Like their mass murders they carry out are actually like a ritual black magic thing too.
Right.
I personally think this pirate ship's the same. And the big armoured cargo hold, that's not how you smuggle gold, and it's not how you smuggle people. That's how you put some big thing in there, some solid object in there in one piece, and then you strap it down and you get out of there. And bear in mind, it can move at between 35 and 40 knots in a region where most ships and other maritime traffic move at about 9 knots. So this will be outrunning everybody once it moves.
Wow. I am so blown. Okay, let me think. Okay, Lorien's usually pretty good at thinking on her feet. So here's a good question for you. Why do you think they targeted your guys, besides the fact that they thought that they had film footage of a USO, or did they think that they were just talking too much? What do you think's going on with that?
Well, I think it's part of their strict no photographs policy, that's for sure.
Okay.
Because this will be the first photography of any kind in that region.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this isn't like a tourist area where people are coming and going all the time. They could be capturing
Lord, no.
these USOs. Okay, gotcha.
It's so far away from any conceivable tourist site. I mean, it's over 1,000 miles away from the nearest tourist spot of any kind.
Wow. Okay.
So it's remote. Super remote.
That explains a lot right there, because that tells me that they want to keep this secret at all cost, and they are willing to kill people over it. So,
well, word around the campfire is they're really not happy about the documentary thing at all, and they were pretty put out.
Really? Yeah. Who told you this?
Well, the government, because we got an official letter. We have to get an official letter to film, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. We all do everywhere we go in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. But they are very sensitive there.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So the government's not too thrilled about this. And you were just going to do a documentary about cryptoids, right? I mean, this was...
We were going to do the UFO base because another gentleman years ago tried to look into it. It just fizzled out and he's disappeared. So obviously, you know, I don't want to do the Sasquatch documentaries and you never find a Sasquatch and it's all innuendo and nonsense, because firstly, I don't think that's actually a documentary because it's not factual. And secondly, I just think it's a bit of a con job to do that to people. So I at least wanted to do one on the, what would you call it, the sort of haunted island stuff where there's a Roanoke type abandoned island where there's a village no one's lived in for 90 years. The whole island's deserted. No one knows why.
Wow.
The UFO base is another one like that. Lots of people have seen these things in passing. I mean, the locals see them constantly. So it is a bit like the classical era of Area 51, where you can literally, like in the 90s, people were just literally seeing things almost daily at one point.
Right. They'd all know what night to go park out there, and there'd be like a party out there.
That's right. Yeah, and the debunkers would never look because they don't want to see it. But everybody else knows. Everybody else knows it's there, don't they?
Right, and they just go about their daily lives and say, "Hey, let's go look at the water ships tonight, or whatever."
Whatever it is. But now it's changed into this very aggressive group of paramilitaries. Obviously, something's up, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously something is up, and I'm very sad to hear that you've lost the footage on that your friend had. That just upsets me to no end, because that would have been really a good Kickstarter for you guys to have at my conference, which, by the way, everyone, Johnathan will be speaking at my conference, whether it has to be by Skype if that's the final straw, but Johnathan is hoping to be there in person, and we were actually hoping to have some of this footage at the conference, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, does it, Johnathan?
Well, I'm back over here now to get more.
Oh, boy, you are a brave soul, and I'm sending you all my love and protection. And everybody listening to this, do that as well.
They've taken out two of my boys now, so they've taken out two of my boys, so that there can't be three. They'll have to take me out next time. So we're going to go there. I mean, we won't be able to take the full film equipment this time, but we'll be taking things to capture pictures.
Okay, good. Now you're working though, right? I mean, we didn't, what we didn't do, Johnathan? I'm going to go back to this whole thing because I need a couple more minutes to formulate some important questions I have. But in the meantime, tell everybody about yourself and why you're even over there and where you're from and all that, because they're going, who is this guy? And why is Lorien talking to him?
Well, I've worked in the South Pacific in Vanuatu as a diplomatic envoy for a chief, and then in Solomon Islands trying to get various projects off the ground with some success. I mean, not always successful because there's lots of different countervailing forces. But what we normally do is we develop an area for commodity trading, such as gold or sea cucumbers or whatever, and return the maximum amount of the profits back to the local people. And we do that within banking and financial structures that empower the locals, rather than the normal way, which is total colonial exploitation masquerading as aid. So in the course of that work, which you can only do properly on the ground by, cutting through the jungle and meeting the locals and sitting down with them,
right.
You tend to run up against some very strange things in this part of the world. So it's all started from that, really, where we just thought,
And what were the strange things that you ran across first of all?
Well, personally, I've seen a spirit warrior. I've seen a man in his full regalia, like an old-fashioned warrior, on a beach when we're pulling up to the beach, and he vanished. Like, you look away, you look back, he's gone. So
wow.
they wouldn't call him a ghost because he's a spirit. So he's not actually like, that may never have ever been a living human being. It just looks like a living human being dressed in old-fashioned warrior stuff. That's not that's not necessarily a human ghost. That's something different. I've been the other side of a bush from a great big black bird, Mothman kind of thing.
Wow. Now, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this Mothman thing before we go on, because you have quite a list, and I know it. This Mothman thing, last time you told me about it, I thought, oh, that's very intriguing. And I asked you if it had wings like a bat, and I think you said yes.
Sickle-shaped wings, like some seabirds.
That was it. Yeah, that's right. So like the bad version of angel wings, right?
not so bat-like. There are some long-distance flying seabirds, and they literally have like a scythe blade wing.
Wow.
Like half a crescent moon kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of, but does it have the same kind of skin texture to it, or is it feather? I mean, what was it? Did you get a chance to capture that?
All I saw, it was just a flash as it went straight up through the jungle canopy. It was rough outlined as though it had feathers or fur, and it was jet black.
Jet black, wow. Did you get a chance to see its eyes?
No. All I saw was like the bottom of it, which looked a bit like a bat, except it definitely had claws because it had great big yellow feet.
Oh, my God.
Sort of like eagle feet, like eagles.
Yeah.
And so bird, I don't know, or dinosaur, I don't know.
But this thing was huge, right? I mean, we're talking bigger than you?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I top out at 6 foot.
Oh, my God.
It was definitely bulkier than me, and the wings flipped out like switchblades. They didn't flap. It just went sort of boomf, with a kind of like a flag flap noise though, with a kind of oomph underneath. So they snapped out and it just went straight up, no flapping. How it does that one, not sure, because a lot of the debunker types say, it can't work, it's got to flap its wings. Well, I saw it and other people saw it and it didn't flap its wings. So as a direct witness, I'm kind of put out by people saying I couldn't have seen it because, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Its wings.
I know. There's always people who tell you what you didn't see, right? I mean, don't you just love those people? It's like, yeah. Anyhow, go ahead, Johnathan.
Well, they won't look for starters. And I've seen the devil boars in Bougainville.
Explain a devil boar, because this just intrigues me to death. Go ahead and explain those guys.
Well, the locals love pigs as food and as wealth, and for weddings and funerals and so on, and for jupu, for feasts. So prize pigs are sort of like wild boars over there. They grow quite small. The little piglets are adorable. They're peccaries, so they've got like a camouflage spot pattern on them. They're very cute, very intelligent. But occasionally, mainly in aid projects, people have had hormone-soaked domesticated pigs, quite often of the wrong breed or just carelessly given as part of a breeding program. And because of the rudimentary conditions, these sort of GMO pigs have broken free and interbred with the locals. So now you've got wild pig interbreeding with domesticated pig, producing hybrids that grow to, literally car size and bigger, like insane size pigs, devil boars.
Oh my God.
And because they're smart, they're highly aggressive. Not at all the
like the wild boar that will be aggressive if you venture into their territory and you're aggressive towards them. Usually they run off. I mean, I've been out in the woods in Northern California where there's wild boar, and if you're not doing anything stupid by drawing them into your camp with food or anything, and you run across them, they'll usually turn and run. They're not going to come after you unless they're protecting and babies or they got something going on. They don't want anything to do with you, and that's a misconception. A lot of people think they charge you all the time. They don't charge you unless they're frightened. At least not the ones here. Johnathan, are you still with me?
And
oh, there you are. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I lost you there for a second. I was talking and I wasn't sure. Did you start talking as well?
No.
That was bizarre. I was hearing all kinds of strange things, Johnathan. Anyhow, I was just saying the pigs up here in Northern California, the wild boar, they don't go after you unless you go after them. And what's it like with these devil boars down there? Are they just aggressive and mean to everything?
Yep, and they're trying to take over the islands that they share with the people.
Oh no, that's not good. And how many of these have you run across?
I've seen one leading a kind of pack of other pigs, an alpha male or female. I couldn't tell which it was because I just saw its head, basically. But people who live there obviously are running across them all the time now. And they've caused a lot of damage and they've killed quite a few people.
Jeez.
But that doesn't get reported as anything more than normal rural deaths, though, you see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's very interesting to me. So what are they going to do about it? Do they have hunts going on to get rid of these things, or what are they doing?
There's no money or extra people to hunt them yet. So one of the things we'll be doing, because one of our guys, Henry's actually a ranger, like he catches dangerous wild animals. He has to sit down with them and have a feast with them first. But if he decides it's appropriate, because these things are hybrids, they're not natural, he'll kill them and we'll go along on the hunt and film it as one of our episodes.
Oh, awesome. I like hunting. I hate to say it. I don't like hunting deers where they turn and look at you before you kill them. No. But if it's something, that's, nasty and it's killing people, then, there has to be some kind of control on that.
Yeah, and these are monsters. They aren't part of the natural environment. They're far larger than the pre-existing animals. And they behave much differently. They're pushing human beings to the wall. So there has to be a balance of some kind.
Yeah, Absolutely. That's going to be a great episode. I can't wait for that one. Well, we got about less than a minute left here before our second break, and I'm still flabbergasted about everything that's going on. So when we get back, we're going to finish going through the list of species or episodes and different items and the pterodactyls and all the things that you've seen over there or that your friends have seen. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And then we're going to go into, again, back to the underground base. And we're going to talk quite extensively about that. And what I'm going to do is take questions from the chat room for Johnathan in the last half hour. So I want you guys all to get ready for that. So everyone stay with us. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Remember, you can take your Inception Radio shows on the go. Just download the Inception Radio Network app for your iPhone, iPad, or Android smartphones and access live shows, past shows, guest lineups, and much more. Just visit the iTunes Store or the Google Play Marketplace and download it today for free. You didn't forget what's coming up tonight, did you? Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Never miss that interview you were looking forward to or the show on your favorite topic. Follow IRN on Twitter, I_R_N, and get reminders about the evening's live shows as well as fun and important updates throughout the week. That's I_R_N, and never miss a great show again.
Hello, everyone. Lorien Fenton here, host of the California MUFON Radio Show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today. Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. So happy to have you here with me on this Wednesday night, February 25th. We're having a great time, and Johnathan Nolan's here with me, and he's uncovering all kinds of information for you guys that nobody's known about until this evening, which is really cool. And it's cool for us, but not so cool for the people that he's telling us the stories about. I'm a little concerned, but hey, like the dark side does irk its little, or what they say, eek its little ugly little head every once in a while. So, and here we are, we're having to deal with that here at the show. So, like I was telling you guys earlier, there are moments when you're a ufologist or you're a whistleblower or you're a person that, even discovers things about the dead scientists that are out there, that things happen to you. You just got to be very cautious and very careful and know what you're up to. So, I wanted to say, though, that I had an amazing experience at International UFO Congress. I want to thank again everybody that was there and all my buddies and friends there. And the interesting part about talking to Dave McDonald about when he gave me his blessings, folks. He threw the olive branch at me instead of just handing it to me. He threw it at me and said, "Sure, you can have a radio show." No, he was very sweet to me. He said, "Yeah, you can have it. You can have the advertisement for MUFON, and you go ahead and have your show." But it was so funny. I didn't do this on air, but right after we got off air, I said to him, "So, how does it feel to be talking to the black sheep of MUFON?" And he just laughed, and he didn't say I wasn't. So, so there you are, folks. It was quite cute. He gave me a big laugh, and he said, "Yeah." So there we are. So I want you, though, all to join MUFON, because I'll tell you what, MUFON has opened so many doors for me, and it will open your mind as well. So visit MUFON.com and join up, because MUFON is evolving. MUFON Evolved is the name of the game these days, and I can tell you something. There were a lot of MUFON members at International UFO Congress, and they were talking about aliens and UFOs and encounters, and MUFON is going so much further beyond just tracking the different sightings in the sky, folks. It's becoming very, very very big out there as far as an organization to belong to that is giving you as much truth as it can about alien encounters as well. So I do hope you join, and remember, it's not about the politics. It really is about the camaraderie, and when you guys see each other face to face, eye to eye, that is the most important thing out there, because you're exchanging very important information with each other, and most importantly, you're exchanging the truth as you know it. And that is the key here, folks. We've all got to get our truth out there. We've got to let everybody know about it. So anyhow, visit MUFON.com, become a member, and go to a meeting near you as soon as you can. Okay, great. So we're back here with Johnathan. So Johnathan, we were just talking about the boars, and then we were talking about the amazing whatever it was that had the scythe wings, and it took off full speed up into the canopy of the jungle that you were in without batting a wing. So what is, I don't even know where to start with that one. I'm just going to say it happened, and we're going to let that one go. What's the next thing you saw there?
Well, that's pretty much the end of my direct experience, other than spirit reefs and things like that, which are neither here nor there, because you don't always know that you've seen them. It's a bit like ghost encounters. Henry, our ranger, is the guy who deals with all the real monsters. I've seen a giant, extremely large anaconda-style python in one of the treasure caves. So we'll be filming these treasure caves and the creatures that live in them. And things like there's a spider species there that's got a skull on its back and things like that. So they're a bit like the Japanese crabs that have samurai faces on their back. Only these spiders are like something out of a movie. They're blacky grey with some green and some red spots, and then a clear skull.
Yeah. Now, interesting. Are they poisonous, those spiders?
Not really to humans, no. They're considered to be lucky.
Oh, so you get a skull, you get a like pirate skull little spider, and you keep them as a pet?
Well, they're actually shrine spiders. They have caves that they put all the skulls of their ancestors and defeated warriors in, and these spiders come crawling out of the eye holes of some of the skulls. So I don't know whether it's worth a full episode, although the shrines of skulls certainly are, because I want to record in there, because when you're in there you hear whispering, which the locals believe in the shrine. That's the voices of the dead. That's the advice that you get from the skulls, from the ancestors and the others. So I want to record that. Well, again, it's a different thing again, isn't it? So I want to catalog these things.
I think that, the different countries and their different beliefs and the things that they do now, that is not that much different. I am so tired, Johnathan. I'm so sorry that I'm not speaking well tonight. It is not that undifferent than the underground skulls and bones in France under Paris.
Yeah.
It's the same type of thing. So we're talking that cultures over thousands of years have been doing the same type of thing no matter where they are in the world. So I think it's just fascinating.
And the Shark Riders is the other one I want to definitely record, which is the first time it'll be recorded, where the tribe that it's quite a large tribe too that believe that some of the reef sharks are their ancestors. So each year they choose a little boy to ride on the back of a shark amongst the whole pack of sharks.
Oh, now, wait a minute. I don't know anything about this. They pick a little boy, just one, or a bunch of boys?
No, well, it's a festival, so they all go into the water amongst these sharks and don't get eaten. And they talk to them because they're their ancestors, etc. And then a boy is chosen as part of the festival, a little boy, like a young boy, and he climbs on a shark. And shark skin's actually very rough. It can draw blood. So there's a lot of different things involved in this that make you sort of go, wow. He rides it like a pony, and it zooms around the harbour lagoon. And then he gets back off and comes ashore, and there's a big feast. The sharks gradually dissipate and just sort of all swim off in different directions again. But during the festival, the sharks behave like a shoal fish. In other words, they all swim together.
Wow, that's mind-boggling. Now, do you think the shamans are connecting with them off the land and calling them in, or how did they know to do that every year on a certain day? And I mean, it's just crazy. That's nuts.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
But I mean,
it's
again,
mind-blowing.
It's not able to be refuted since it certainly occurs. It's not something that, it doesn't happen. It definitely happens. So for me, to do that in a documentarian way, it's enough to record it, to let people have their say about what it is. I'm not interested in debunkers saying it doesn't happen or it's a fake, because that's just a ridiculous suggestion on the face of it. So it comes down to sonics, infrasonics, trance, animal hypnosis, animal magnetism, as you say, shamanism, or what they would call spirit beliefs, aku-aku.
Well, there could be a very scientific explanation as well. It could be maybe they're going in there to breed. Do they know? I mean, is it one of those things where they just do that like once a year, like the turtles do when they lay their eggs on the islands and in the sand?
They do it most years, unless the omens aren't good, and then they don't have the festival. But it certainly isn't breeding, because shark breeding is actually quite violent. When sharks breed, the male bites the female, holds her, and so on, and they make a mess of each other. So it's nothing like that. And
kind of like that new movie that just came out. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. Oh my gosh. Okay. I am so silly tired that it's just insane, but I'm having so much fun. But in spite of the fun I'm having, I'm still very concerned. So that'll be going in there. Now, how many, you said you had 13 episodes. So I've counted 1, 2, 3, 4. I've counted almost 5 episodes. What do you got in store for the other 6? Are we going to do the pterodactyl one? Is that the friend of your friend saw, or?
Well, Henry, one of the 8 people making it's got dragon bites on him. He's got bites from them.
Oh,
so
that's
part
right.
Yeah. That's part of the first one we're doing. But we're also doing one on the Red Pits, which is the still bleeding battlefields of World War II.
What? You didn't tell me about this. Now, you've got to explain this, because now my brain is just like going sideways.
Well, there was a terrible series of battles on Guadalcanal, Americans versus Japanese, and so many men died from disease and from crocodiles, not just from trying to kill each other in war, but a lot of them were killed in place, massacred in craters and in ditches, and those ditches filled with their blood, and the ground underneath is gold-laced, silver-laced clay. So for whatever reason, to this day, there are pits where the locals dig, and a sort of brownish, reddish mud comes out that looks like thick blood, and that's the Red Pits. And wherever they find that discoloured sort of thick blood, they find World War II weapons or bones.
Well, that's interesting. Is it because of the rust that the metal is creating of these artifacts that are left over, or
there's too much of it.
Oh. Well, it can't be real blood, though. It's just been way too long.
Well, we're going to find out. We'll have a jupu. We'll pay the custom price or buy shell money for it. And we'll find out what it is. We'll respectfully take some and get it sampled.
Yeah. Well, that just freaks me out too. I don't even know what to say. Okay, so what else are we going to be doing in this 13-part series?
Iron Bottom Bay, which is where so many ships were sunk during the Guadalcanal Canal battles that the entire bottom of the sea in that area is ships.
What?
So that's just freaky to look at. That's not like, there's no sea monster or anything, but the whole bottom of the bay is ships. And
now they're coral reefs pretty much though, right?
No.
They got stuff growing on by now, right?
Not much, no. It's
really?
It's just hella spooky.
Oh, that is, if they had stuff growing all over them, it wouldn't bother me near as much as them not having anything growing on them. That is spooky. That really bothers me. Yeah, that's just not
And
good.
then there's the Japanese war gold, which people keep hunting in Papua New Guinea and especially in the Philippines. But actually, nearly 10 tons of Japanese war gold disappeared in the Solomon Islands.
Really? And
Really.
that hasn't been found yet?
Nope.
Oh, cool.
Allow me, the filmmaker, or has it?
Or has it? Well, that's interesting. I like that too. Now, in the chat room, they're saying that they're looking at your website there at Truth Funders, the page you have up, and you said that the island is where stories like Godzilla started. So is there any God? King Kong. Okay, so they've got this wrong. They're saying Godzilla, but it's King Kong. Is there any truth to the whole King Kong myth, or is that just totally a made-up story?
Well, he's supposed to be an enormous ape, and the taller race of giants can be up to 15 feet tall, and they're very heavy. So there is some truth to it, yes.
Wow. Oh God, I would never have expected that you were going to say there is some truth to that. Oh my God. Now I'm really freaking out. Okay. So this is going to be awesome. What Johnathan is doing, folks, if he can make it, and he thinks he can, so we're just keeping all of our fingers crossed, Johnathan is going to be making a presentation about a little bit about what he's doing down there at the island in the film and the documentary for Truth Fund. I mean, that is posted at truthfunders.com, and you guys can go check that out there. But what he's going to be doing at UFO Con, I think UFO Con is your first time out on what I call the UFO paranormal circuit, right here in the United States?
Yep. Anywhere, in fact.
Anywhere, in fact. Oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. You guys, this is great. This is going to be Jonathan's first time talking about all this. And he'll be at UFOCon2015.com. That's in Santa Clara, California. He's going to be our special guest. And Johnathan, you're really going to try to make it up for it, aren't you, from the islands?
Yes. Yep.
Great. Okay. So we'll have him in person more than likely. And then Johnathan and I have some plans for you folks. Johnathan doesn't even know this yet. Johnathan and I are going to go on some adventures with some other friends of mine, and I'm going to do live recordings for IRN while we're out on our adventures to see if we can splice it together and make a great show for you guys. So it may be kind of fun, and it may be very interesting. So who knows? It may be very boring too, though, right, Johnathan? We may just be sitting in a tree somewhere waiting for something to happen and twiddling our thumbs and looking at the microphone and keep going, well, nothing's happening yet, folks, but who knows?
Where I tempt fate.
Exactly. So who knows what might happen, but we're going to try to do some live feeds for you. We'll try to do some recorded ones. We're going to have some fun after the conference too. So it'll be very interesting for you folks here at IRN. I'm going to give you kind of a sneak preview of what Johnathan and Lorien are up to, and Lorien's friends that Jonathan's going to meet for the first time. I might record some of those interviews. So that'll be very interesting for you. So so if you can make UFOCon 2015, that would be wonderful. That's UFOCon2015.com. You get to meet Johnathan in person and talk to him about, maybe you guys know something about what's going on down there that he doesn't. You know, who knows? Maybe your father was in World War II down on those islands, and he knows where the gold was buried, and he left it in a note to you guys. So there's always that. You know, Johnathan, I would not be surprised if somewhere,
It
somewhere
happens.
in your,
it does happen.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I've had stranger things happen. People get on like Coast to Coast or my show or John B. Wells' show, and then people will be listening all over the world, and then they'll send a note to the talk show host and say, about your guest so and so, I'd like to get in touch with them because blah blah blah, and it's like everything you were looking for, you know.
Well, we've got a local guy who we call the tuna captain, who, you know, so his story goes, knows chapter and verse about the gold and where it is. And I am quite happy to let him tell his story on film, and then we will go through it step by step, and we'll see if he's a liar or telling the truth, because there is no middle ground. Based on the story that he tells, there is no middle ground. He is either legit or he's not legit. It's a documentary either way, isn't it? So.
Oh my God, yeah, that sounds wonderful. And Johnathan, I'm already getting questions in the chat room. So in about 7 minutes after our break, we're going to be getting these questions. My gosh, they're coming in. Okay, everybody in the chat room, you got to help Lorien out tonight because she's half asleep and she's on NyQuil and DayQuil and every kind of quill there is because she's got a cold. So I need your help. You got to help me get smart here real quick. So, and Jonathan's brilliant. So my problem is I can't appear to him is that I don't have any brain cells left today. So here we go. I've got 2 questions so far, Johnathan, but let's not read them until the break, and you and I will discuss what we're going to do after the break with those questions. And we need more questions coming in. Now, what I'd like to do, Johnathan, if it's okay with you, is I want to go back to your 2 friends that have met their demise in a very sad way. What are the locals saying about it, and are they on your side of this, or are they trying to get you guys to stop doing what you're doing? Because
of how we have interacted in the past, they're on my side, but they're very worried. And there's 2 different tribal groups. The tribal group that provides the security are warriors through and through. So having crooks kill one of them was a pretty big mistake because they're on the warpath now. The other group, which lives near the base, are just sort of freaked out, and they're preyed on by warlords from time to time. So they're more like the villagers in the Magnificent Seven. They just really want it sorted out. They're on our side, but they want it sorted out. They want my security guys to go there and protect them, and they want us to do whatever we're going to do. We've got the letter from the government saying we can film, so they know it's all on the level, but they're still, you know, freaked.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't blame them one bit.
Well, they've lost a family member. They've lost a member of their tribe to this, and they know that we've been doing other projects like water purification and all the rest of it. So they know that we are on the level, but this has escalated it in a way that's never happened before.
Yeah, so this is the first time anybody's basically decided to tell the truth out of this area, and that's why you guys are being, you know, basically attacked, right?
It's got to be to do with this base.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, you know, that it really bothers me that you guys are, you know, you're trying to do a documentary about strange happenings, crypto, you know, zoology, things like that are happening there. And then this base happens to be there too, which is not a good thing. And just because you're mentioning it or wanting to talk about it or do some filming about it, you know, what's different than that with that than the TV shows that are out there right now that are showing a different craft coming down and what have you here in the United States. I mean, we have a lot of those shows. I don't know why they're being so protective.
Yeah, if this is humans, they're operating a long, long way from anybody.
Well, then they must be doing some nefarious stuff there. That's it. And they just don't want anybody to know where they're at. I bet that's the real thing. With you talking about it and saying, because these other ones are one-time sightings, right? Now that I think about it, all these TV shows that have had, you know, some pictures that were taken by the people and they show you the craft and you can't really tell it's a craft or if it's not, and it may have gone in the water and it may not have, and who knows? Obviously, you know, you're right. Those are one-time deal, and you guys got a full-fledged, you know, working underground base, so they don't want you guys talking about it.
I think the balloon went up when we applied for the filming license.
Did they?
Because then,
Go ahead.
No.
No, I was going to say, when you got the license, did you have to tell them what you were going to film?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you mention the underground base in there? I mean, underwater base?
In the most general way possible, yes.
Oh, no wonder. Oh, my gosh. Okay, now that makes sense. Because you just
we were required to do that because otherwise they would have seized our footage.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're still seizing your footage anyhow, Jonathan. So,
no, I mean the government. would have seized that.
Yeah, exactly. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So the first person murdered was how long ago now?
Almost exactly 3 weeks now.
And the second person was going in to retrieve their items, correct?
Yeah, we sent 4 of the security boys to the deceased man's village, which is a long way for them to go. 3 of them stayed at the little docks, and 1 of them just went to the village. They can all handle themselves.
Right.
I mean, one of them is an Olympic taekwondo competitor, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
like Pacific Games level martial artists and so on. So these aren't just sort of locals. They're actually pretty capable warriors. Well, as much as locals are trained. And somebody put him down.
That just blows my mind. Did you know in what manner the second person was murdered? We know the first one was stabbed, right? The second one was...
the first one was stabbed and then macheted. He was actually hacked to death.
Oh, my God. Oh, that just scares the bejesus out of me.
And the second one was shot.
And the second one was shot?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Okay. All right. The gravity of this is very, very heavy for me. I hate to say it. I just
think it's crazy. Like
it's just it just bothers me. You have no idea how sad I feel for them and how worried I am for you. That's all I got to say about that. I'm very worried, but I know you can take care of yourself, Jonathan. So I'm going to be sending you all every bit of power and blessing and what have you, and just hope that you make it up here to the States, because I'm really looking forward to meeting you.
And I think it's essential to publicize this.
Yes, absolutely. We've got to get this out as much as possible. Boy, people
are being killed over it. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not like whistleblowing on anybody. So this is what bothers me about this. The only people I know that are being taken out over things like this are talking about, government officials and exposing them and exposing dark ops operations. All you're doing is just filming some flying saucers that are underwater saucers or whatever you want to call them coming in and out of the water. So, this really bothers me.
I mean, there are associated stories of hollow mountains, one close to the UFO base and another one in another part of the island chain. Yeah.
Okay, now it's the bottom of the hour. This is our last break. So when we come back, we're going to talk about those hollowed mountains when we come back. And then also we're going to start getting the questions coming in from the chat room, because they're coming in fast now. So everybody stay with us. Jonathan's going to stay awake, and I'm going to keep my eyeballs open, and we'll be right back after this break.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Just a reminder that Inception Radio Network is on Twitter. Follow us at I_R_N and keep up to date about who's on tonight, what interviews they'll be doing, who's guest spotting, what topics they'll be covering. Tweet to us, tweet about us, retweet topics to your friends, and most importantly, never miss a great show again. That's I_R_N.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
Are you looking for a cure for boredom? Never worry. IRN's new interactive website introduces a number of ways to pass time while you listen to your favorite show. Choose anything from the IRN chat lounge, the game lounge, video lounge, or the mood lounge. These fun, exciting features let you chat in real time with fellow listeners, view live skywatches, play daily posted online games, or pick a show based on topic. The choices are endless. Use your time wisely, keeping it all on IRN.
Hello, everyone. Lorien Fenton here, host of the California MUFON Radio Show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today. Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. I'm so happy you're all here with me tonight. You know, there was one person I forgot to mention at the top of the hour about just thanking people that I met at International UFO Congress, and I want to put a big shout out to Claudette and Dave. They were absolutely wonderful. Claudette hangs out in our chat room, and it was the first night there. We were in the lobby of the hotel, and she came up to me and she goes, "You're Lorien Fenton." And I said, I looked over my shoulder like, well, you know, yeah, I am. What did I do? And she goes, "I'm one of your fans. I listen to your show all the time." And she gave me a big hug and she took a picture with me. And I just felt so blessed to know that there were people out there that actually knew who I was. It was really beautiful, you guys. And her husband, Dave, what a doll. He's such a great guy. Anyhow, he helped carry my banners around. He was just wonderful. And I just felt so blessed to know that you guys are out there listening to me. She was kind of like your emissary for all of you, and she was so sweet, and she's an amazing. And you know what? She has a UFO blog, and I'm going to find the card, and next week I'll read out the blog to you guys. I haven't even unpacked yet, so as soon as I unpack, I want you guys all to start checking out Claudette's blog, and we'll get that going next week, too. So anyhow, big shout out to Claudette and Dave, and love you both. So thank you so much for coming up to me at UFO Congress. I really appreciated that. Okay, now we got to get back to more serious matters here. Johnathan Nolan is still with us, and we have some amazing questions from the chat room. And if you guys have any more questions, feel free to throw them my way. And no, I am not hitting the bottle tonight, folks. I hit the NyQuil bottle, and that's the problem, because I forgot that this stuff kicks in. And then you start like, whoa, you get woozy. I mean, I feel like I've had 4 drinks, and I haven't. Seriously. So here we go. Here's the first question for Johnathan. Johnathan, you ready?
I am.
Okay. Durhuff in the chat room says, has Johnathan heard anything about Linda Moulton Howe's interview with a former Air Force sergeant who claims he saw a flying disc and an entrance to an alien base while serving in the Antarctic? Do you know anything about that?
Have not personally heard anything whatsoever about that. We've got a guy who's currently serving in the Australian Army who served with the Americans in the Pacific in a recent expedition. He has some scuttlebutt about that kind of thing that was going to be in the UFO base episode. But I am really not a big fan of the anecdote stuff. I tend to avoid it. So short answer, no.
Okay, great, wonderful. Thank you for that. Okay, now Neutron in the chat room says, has Johnathan ever found anything supporting the story that one of the Bikini Atoll nuke bomb tests in 1952 was actually a planned destruction of an underwater alien base?
Yes, because there's also a French atoll called Mururoa. That was the one that ended up with the Greenpeace boat being sunk.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah. I don't know the whole story. Can you explain that?
Well, Mururoa, aka Devil's Reef,
right,
which before they blew it up, had a bottomless hole at the bottom of it where USOs had been seen, and also, again, you believe it or you don't, there were a couple of sightings of actual sort of like Cthulhu mythos fishmen or something, like sort of, perhaps the least likely of all sea monsters, the actual merman. Now, a guy suggested in the late 60s, a sort of John Keel guy in Australia, he never got famous or anything, he was just a local journalist, sort of chain-smoking journalist. This is long before the Mururoa Atoll A-bomb explosion. He suggested, wouldn't it make a perfect cover for scuba divers to wear a fishman costume?
Oh, interesting.
So, again, Bikini Atoll, it's outside my remit, but I have actually spoken to a now fairly old journalist who knew that sort of paranormal investigating journalist, the sort of Fox Mulders type journalist in the 60s. And it was one of those unwritten stories that Lop Nor in China was another one. That's the site of the ancient Locust Queen underground city and an entrance to Agartha. That was blown up by the Chinese. Mururoa was blown up by the French. So it is a type of atomic scuttlebutt which is quite well known as a dockside story, yes. But again, it's an anecdote. So unless we've got somebody who says, yeah, turn the camera on, I'm ready to talk, yeah, it's interesting, but you can't really use that as evidence.
Right. You can't. But, man, what a great story. That is amazing. Now, the Greenpeace boat was sunk over this bottomless pit, basically? No.
They were trying to stop the atom bomb explosion. And France went ahead anyway. The Greenpeace Rainbow Warrior ship was then anchored in New Zealand, in a civilized port, a city in New Zealand, and French secret agents then set off a type of underwater mine which sank it, killing some people.
Oh, I got you. While it was in port.
But it was all over the atomic espionage,
right.
France, get out of the Pacific.
I remember that. That was back in the 80s, wasn't it?
It was, and the thing at the time was people were saying, yeah, we all know the French are absolute, a-holes, but why are they doing this? Like, what conceivable earthly reason could they have? And it came up again then, well, maybe they're sealing something up.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, good. Very good. Okay, now here's the next question. This one's from Carol in chat. She goes, Lorien, would Johnathan care to weigh in on the Lake Winnipeg, Jackhead, Manitoba, Canada incident? Now, do you know anything about this?
By reading, yes. So I would absolutely refrain from making any comment because I'm unqualified to speak on that.
Okay, but you know what incident she's talking about?
Vaguely, but I don't want to mislead people either. So I don't want to sort of...
Great. Because I've never heard of this myself, and I'm surprised because I'm pretty well versed, and I don't know about it. So, Carol, you're going to have to talk to me about that, and if you know enough about it to talk about it on the radio, I'll have you on the show. That'll solve that problem in one fell swoop. Okay. Durhoff again asks, Lorien, can you ask Johnathan whether he feels there's a USO base off Catalina Island?
This one. The research for the UFO base episode that we've already done, this has come up. And so has the Jimmy Church Malibu Beach potential installation.
Yeah. Let's talk about Catalina Island first, and we'll go into the church thing, okay?
There's evidence of submarine bases in very unusual places. Submarine bases. Okay? But the same way the conventional idea of a modern United States Air Force or Navy airplane may be a fair bit behind what they're actually flying and have been flying for a while. Likewise, submarines, there's some very unusual submarines around. Now, I have direct information about one of these unusual submarines because a mining company that was in the Solomon Islands until fairly recently was tasked with using one of its own underwater robots, which you use in mining for various purposes, to film a distressed vehicle. And I know the underwater drone operator. We were on the Terps together. We were drinking together. He not like drunkenly blurted stuff out, but I mean, we'd both gone to a presentation about a thing called the Nautilus system, which is an underwater robot mining thing, which looks like it's from like the 2500s AD, but it's actually modern technology no one's heard of.
Can I ask?
And I can't really talk anymore about it without getting sued. Yeah.
Can I? Yeah. Oh, okay. I want to ask you one thing about it. Did it have treads like a tank?
There's 4 different ones. One of them has treads like a tank. Another one has thinner double treads.
Okay, great. You and I have something to talk about that maybe we'll announce on air someday then. Okay, let's go on then.
Yeah.
Because we both can't talk about it, so there we are. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, the mining presentation is confidential, so if I say any more about it, they'll see the pants off me anyway.
Right, exactly. So you guys are sitting there and you're talking to him about, different things, and he's kind of blurting things out.
We were talking about. But one of the places that the underwater robot from the mining company was used was Catalina.
Very interesting. Okay. People talk about that all, say that there's USOs coming in and out of Catalina Island all the time. And you think if it was that prevalent that people would have been capturing it on film by now, right?
Well, maybe. I mean, some of the propulsion systems and flight/underwater propulsion systems are electrogravitic. That means you can't film them with a digital camera.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, Johnathan. That's absolutely true. Wow.
Well, if you film them, it's like that guy who got the footage, he put it up on YouTube, and it looks like a ball, and then it's like a bat wing, and then it's a plane, and then it's this, and then it's that, and it's sort of changing shape. And people said, well, it's obviously just a rubbish special effect and a fake. He'll go to his grave denying that. He is absolutely confident he saw it. He was trying to film chemtrails. Right. He saw this thing. Saw this shape-shifting craft. Well, it's not shape-shifting. It's using active acquired light bending camouflage. And on top of that, it's electrogravitic. So electrogravitic makes it look like it's underwater and it's all wavery. And active light acquiring camouflage is like the predator. So it takes the picture from behind it and it shows it in front of it. So
exactly.
It's a miracle he caught anything.
Absolutely, yeah, and they've had that technology for quite some time, and then there's the holographic imagery that they've been putting up into the skies for a while too. That we could go into, maybe not. Do you know much about that?
There's a contact I spoke to about that a while ago. Yes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the story quickly again to refresh everybody's memory. There's a gentleman, and I can't remember his name. He is a good friend of a friend here in the San Francisco Bay Area. He used to work at NASA. He was driving home and driving by Moffett Field one day off of 101. If everybody knows that area, it's below San Francisco International Airport. And he's driving home, and he's on the 101. And the 101 at 5 o'clock doesn't move, folks. It just kind of, you go 5 miles an hour if you're lucky while you're waiting to get to where you got to go. Okay. So he's heading home and he's sitting there in that traffic and he watches a plane take off from Moffett Field. It gets up to the end of the runway and about another 150 feet further down the runway, up in the air, about 150 feet to 200 feet, and it totally disappears. Now, he doesn't know if it's using the technology you're talking about, Johnathan, but he suspected at the time that when he was at NASA and Livermore, they were working on technology with holographic imagery to make people think they were actually seeing an airplane. Yeah. Taking off, landing, and it wasn't even there. It was just all holographic imagery. So that's what he thinks it was. And it was just winking out because that was the end of the test to see how far and how far away they could get it to project that image if they needed it to. So
all I'll say about my contacts is that we've got some active military contacts, but the other main contacts are people in mining companies, and mining companies own or have leases over land. equal or greater in size to Area 51 sometimes. So, and quite a lot of them are like a giant crater, which it's impossible to see into for various reasons. So the security of a mining site is every bit the equal of military security or better sometimes, depending what you're mining or pretending to mine. So I've had direct information given to me of things that mining sites have been used for that have nothing to do with mining, and one of them was active light-acquired camouflage.
Wow, that's amazing.
What they'd use it for, what the great master plan for with it is, I don't know. I mean, if there's, God forbid, ever a giant World War III, I guess we'll all see it and they'll pretend they've just invented it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, very interesting. Wow. Okay. So back to where were we when the NyQuil sent me to the left and you went off to the right? I'm just trying to think of it. We were talking about Catalina Island, and I was saying, why didn't they capture the pictures of it if it's so prevalent there? So now this takes me back to where you're at right now. Now, this underwater base that's supposedly where you're at, because we don't have our proof yet, but we're working on it, right?
People are seeing something, so
they're definitely seeing something. Now, your friend who was murdered over this, we think, he had footage of something. Did he tell you what it was?
Yeah, it was the things that people have been seeing. These are the silver craft coming up out of the water at a rate of knots, like exploding out of the water.
Wow. Okay, so they're silver. Do you know how big they are? Have you seen them?
I've only ever seen one of these things from a plane a long way off flying into that region. And at the time, the penny, as silly as it sounds, the penny didn't drop what I was even looking at. But it was the one I saw was basically like a cartoon UFO, really, like a silver flattened disc, very round on the bottom, very flat on top, if you can imagine that. Like a little bit like a solar powered light sort of shape, where there's a big kind of upside down plate and then round underneath, and it turned. And then I was so sort of out of it on that flight, like it was just such a hell flight through terrible weather. And then we came through the weather into a sort of total clear zone, and I was just so relieved. I've been trying to sleep, and then I saw that out the window in a sort of half daze. And then when I got down on the ground, I actually sort of said, oh wow, I think I've seen something when we were up there. And that was the first mention I'd ever had of this base from the local guy who met me. He said, oh, that's the island of the sleeping giant. So that's where the sky people, they see that the ones associated with the base they call the sky people, and the bad guys are evil spirit people. This is the local version. I'm just relaying what amounts to testimony on this. I'm not sort of signing up to this. Now, what I would sign up to is the Eagle Eyes and what they say. And they say that this base is human and non-human, and that that the way they sort of put it is that the locals are just being total dummies by having anything to do with this. By even because one group of locals have been tasked with collecting fruit and sort of the local equivalent of vegetables, some of the vines, for the sky people, because they eat the fruit and the vegetables. They won't eat meat. But the Eagle Eyes think that this is all part of a bigger mess, and that if the locals get involved, excuse me, if the locals get involved, they'll suffer. Because the Eagle Eyes, before they were exterminated by missionaries and everything, they were trying to keep the locals out of this kind of thing, because this has been going on for a long time, and they wanted the local humans to not participate in it. But the sky people aren't this lot anyway. They're not tricksters, but they are very sort of remorseless. Like when they want a human to do something, they just keep at them until they do it.
God, almost like targeted individuals here in the United States.
And the locals die young, and their children, their pickaninnies, die of diseases a lot. They've got a very high mortality rate. So a bit like some of the missionaries who use medical blackmail, the sky people say, we can save your child. But once you save your child, from that moment on, you're ours. So that's what they've done to a few people. And Anderson Sunoco, who's the first man, God rest him, who died, member of his family had been recruited like this back in the 1940s. And this UFO base was connected with, still verifying it, but it's a matter of record in some respects. This UFO base was connected with the total disappearance of a seaplane during the battles. And the Sky people took the attitude, apparently, they're never going to miss it. And for some reason, they wanted this seaplane during the battles between the Americans and the Japanese. And it's the same basic time as the giant attack on the Japanese in the other island. It was a very strange time. I'm just trying to correlate the different paranormal things, like is there a connection between the giants and the Sky people, for example, because it's a bit crowded if not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But who knows? I've got no idea yet, though. But that's the kind of thing I'm trying to verify with this show is, piece it together, because no one ever has in this region whatsoever.
Very interesting. No wonder they don't want you getting this documentary out. I can really see that you'd be blowing the lid on a lot of things all at once.
Who knows? Look, we don't know, do we?
Yeah, we don't, actually.
And they can always run the argument that, look, it's national security. Everything we do, the secret is worthy of it, all the usual stuff that they say. I have no problem with military security or secrecy when it's appropriate, but I really don't agree with the national security state modus operandi, because I think most of what they cover up isn't worthy of that kind of security, and I think they do it for commercial reasons and other reasons like that, because they get stuff that they know they can make money from through their corporations that they're linked to. It isn't national security. It's not protecting America or Australia or something.
Right.
I think they're making book on it, to be honest.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably the bottom line. Isn't it always come down to that? Comes down to money and who can make the most. That's kind of bad. Hey, we got just a few minutes left. Before we do, let's tease everybody with what you're going to be talking about at UFO Con 2015 in Santa Clara, California.
Okay. Well, because it is UFO focused, I'm going to really devote it to the UFO base and the Eagle Eye's teachings that relate to quote-unquote aliens and quote-unquote UFOs. And with their permission, part of that will be a contact process people can try to if you're already being contacted by the entities, then put yourself on a firmer footing with them, a more equal footing with them.
Interesting. So you're going to give us like a little tutorial on how to connect with them on a different level that maybe the tribes people are connecting with them on, or the Eagle Eyes are connecting with them on?
It's Stone Age exopolitics. That's the simplest way to put it. The Eagle Eyes have a protocol that goes back 1,200 years, which these, whatever they are, apparently have to respect on pain of not being allowed to contact Earth anymore. So I think that's worthy of transmission, and they do. And they remain very, very worried. The Eagle Eyes are very, very worried that our electromagnetic civilization is just feeding all the wrong people out there.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
That's interesting. You and I were talking at one point, and we were talking about the electromagnetic grid that covers the planet. And I was saying that it's so modern, but you were saying that the Eagle Eyes have been using that form of, ley lines, grid lines, energy lines, their whole existence, correct?
Yeah. In a respect Mother Nature kind of way, though. So they use it to find fossil shells to make their shell money, but they don't take all the shell money when they find it. They don't take all the fossils, that kind of thing. So classical, ancient respect for nature approach, not the way we in our society undoubtedly would, which is, commercial exploitation as a natural resource, inexhaustible power supply sort of stuff. They're just very worried we're on the brink of discovering it and commercializing it, and they just think that will bring down a real disaster. A big disaster, not just some passing thing in a local area, but that it will enable very powerful entities, which, like we were saying the other night, they're already here, aren't they? But it would empower what some people would consider to be demonic forces to the point where everybody would notice.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I hate to say this. The show's over. It feels like it's been 4 days, but my brain's in such slow motion because of all the things I took to keep me so I could talk tonight. But anyhow, folks, I hope you understand the weight of what's happened this evening. I do. And I hope you understand that Johnathan is coming to the United States all the way from Australia to be at UFOCon2015.com. If you can be there, if he can be there from Australia, you guys can be there too. So please make it to the conference if you can. Meet Johnathan there. And I'm signing off for tonight. So thank you all for being with us. That's UFOCon2015.com. But please get to truthfunders.com and read all about what Johnathan's doing for his documentary and support him there as well. Please do that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.